Hey guys, this is Underqualified Business Casual Podcast.
I'm Ishan.
I'm Ed.
And I'm Andre.
And today we talked about how one Redditor put $50,000 into one single stock and has turned it into almost $1 billion. I think we'll become $1 billion man overnight.
They call it
Not
billionaire.
overnight, 5 years. they call it billionaire. Stay tuned. Yeah. How are you doing, Andre?
Dude, yeah, so I wasn't on the last episode, right?
No,
so,
we made a big announcement that you were back the
and then I was very quickly not back.
Yeah.
Had a bit of a relapse of my symptoms, but look, I'm coming back and I'm staying. Fingers fucking crossed.
And you're looking really good. He had
you.
his shirt off. He was changing his shirt and like he had abs and
Still got
your
him.
pectoral
Still
muscles
got
were
him.
activated.
Yeah.
So you're looking good.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
When are we doing a shirtless episode? I will legitimately be ready by my birthday because I think.
Speaking of which, I mean, I saw a photo of you on Twitter recently, and it was just a gym selfie, and dude, you were looking jacked. What's up with that?
That's got to get pulled up. Yeah, we'll pull that up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was. No, I was just mogging someone that was like saying I was going to go to prison or something.
Wait, so did you send that to someone privately or?
No, it's public on Twitter. I just replied. Someone
Okay.
Someone was making fun of me, and then
So why would you potentially go to prison?
No, he was just. I made a last episode. We talked about Katy Perry taking a photo with Sam Altman, and she's taken a photo with SBF and Suzu and Kyle, people that have gone to prison.
Yes.
So and then I was talking about that on Twitter, saying who's next, and someone's like, Ishan, you're a crypto nerd, and you're blah blah blah, and then I just responded with like me like clenching my jawline, and then like a little gym selfie where I'm flexing. But no, I'm
So where was that gym?
I've been away. I spent some time in Manila, Philippines.
Yes.
Beautiful place, very humid but beautiful. Good food, interesting people.
Interesting. You said.
Interesting in a good way. Like
right.
lovely, interesting. Like there's this character to the country.
What were you there for?
I was there for business things that I can't really talk about.
Okay.
But it was good. I had
Human trafficking.
Shout out. Oh, now people are gonna actually think I'm going to prison. Shout out to maybe I can't say his name, but you know who I'm talking about. One of employees here at Shuffle. He came with me on the trip, and he did such a Chad thing where we were on the flight. And he's like falling asleep, but I could see what he was listening to, and he was listening to the podcast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So if you want to fall asleep, listen to our fucking podcast.
You don't
Yeah,
possibly think he just did that to rub you the right way, right?
He wasn't rubbing me at all. We don't do that. That would be an HR violation. Anyway,
cool.
no, it was a very cool trip. I'm going to a lot of places next month, this month, blah,
really?
blah. I'm
What's
really
the itinerary?
sick of traveling. Well, you're also,
Yeah.
I mean, you're telling everyone to join in your escapades
That is
to, you're doing New Zealand.
Yeah, it looks like New
next week or something?
Zealand. What's the date?
And then you're going to Japan?
New Zealand on the 24th, hopefully. Just depends. We might be filming some stuff over there, and whether or not I go with the team or not, or just on my own. And then Japan, maybe. I'm not sure if I'm going to have time, to be honest. I'm going to Byron Bay on the 13th of August.
He's like this guy.
For like 2.5 weeks, probably. Just work from there, which is always nice to have a change of scenery.
Work from beach,
which is so nice. And then
nice.
And then go to fucking California.
Yeah, you're going to be kind of like quasi moving to the States. I thought you're going to stay in New York.
No, not anymore. We looked at
your plans change so frequently.
It's because Airbnb was for the month $22,000 in New York for like a shit apartment.
Like shit apartment.
And for that budget, you get the craziest places in like San Diego. Like it's like beachfront, cute place. Blah blah blah.
Did you say you're doing like a road trip, like drive?
Yeah, I think like we'll do like probably
cool.
maybe stay in like 4 different places, but at a certain point we'll have to go to the production facilities and blah blah blah. So it's
Business
like I'm gonna have to be close to LA some days, and then close to Ventura, which is like I think a 2-hour drive from LA, and then down in the south where the other production place is.
Cool.
That'd be very cool. And yeah, I'll be going to some Europe places. I'll be spending my birthday in Europe and doing work things. So
this is the last episode for the next year.
No. we can do some Zoom things. I think. I don't know.
It's just going to be me in the studio by myself, and then you guys just like got nice backgrounds, beaches, fucking Europe.
We'll do some Zoom episodes when
That'd be
in
fun,
the scenario that like we're all away from the office.
Yeah. I think we can have a good remote setup, like something simple using phones and shit.
Don't we have it so good here in Australia when you're talking about $23,000 a month for a shitty apartment in New York?
A bad place with no windows.
You could, for $23,000 a month in Australia, you could get like what? Like I've been recently looking at
you get a crazy
places,
house in Melbourne.
and like I'm currently looking at a really insane, like a lovely place, and it is probably like one of the most expensive rentals in Melbourne, and yet it's nowhere near $23,000 a month. So yeah, I just think we have it really good here. People are gonna hear that and go, "Oh, this fucking douche rich guy," because we actually don't have it good.
Maybe we have it better.
Yeah, we have it better because people are gonna go like, "What? I can barely afford rent here in Australia, and I can't." Blah blah blah. Yeah, so I should probably be a bit more cognizant of that. But, anyway, there's a lot going on. I think like today we could probably just jump straight into probably like the most topical thing in the business world, finance markets. I don't know what to call it. With GameStop, big man RoaringKitty is about to become a billionaire. Which is insane. Someone turning 50 grand to $1 billion potentially in the span of 2 years. When was
With
like
one stock. It was 5 years ago he put his
wait,
third
what?
position.
I thought it was 2 years.
5. Yeah, it was,
Wait,
it was 2019.
No, it wasn't. It was not. It wasn't 2019.
Yeah, because he was buying before he was even posting.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So I found the tweet today, or the first Reddit post where he was like, "Hey, here's evidence of my like first buy," and that was on the 7th of June, 2019.
Right. And so I thought it would be cool for us to just like break down this entire story, explain it for people that don't understand the stock market, GameStop saga, know nothing really about it. We could probably start with just literally in a few minutes explaining what happened back. How did this all start back in 2020 when the initial craze happened? And then we can go into what's been happening in the past month. And so were you following it back then? Like what were you, you were like trading stocks and stuff.
So I think I remember it was obviously Wall Street Bets. And
which
now
is a Reddit group.
It's a Reddit group of just like degenerates,
but there's a Twitter
young
account
people
as well, right?
I think so, yeah.
Which is the guy that probably runs that group, I assume. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I think the group is, and then they've got that, they kind of pushed heavy crypto and then also like lots of like really risky options plays on Robinhood and stuff.
It's all people trying to make a lot of money in the stock market in a short amount of time. And they're not doing a lot of like due diligence or like some of them, actually, I take that back. Some of them are like some of the most sophisticated, smartest, like the better than analysts on Wall Street. But the general people that have like tagged along and following Wall Street Bets, they're just like people like college students that
it's kind of like, I see like Ishan made money from a trade. I'm going to do that one now. Like, and just kind of gain porn. Like, but I remember, I guess the start of the GameStop story is this dude called RoaringKitty who wore a crazy headband, was just a Reddit username at the time. His theory was that GameStop was actually still a viable business. Obviously, GameStop is a retailer of video games. And he thought it was still a viable business. The stock was had gone to shit. And he was like, well, actually, they're actually like customers still go in the stores. They've got these unique like value propositions, et cetera, et cetera. And he checked the, the amount that it was shorted by the market. And short is where you bet against a stock.
Yeah, you can make money from the company's stock price going down, which is the opposite of like a normal investment where you want the stock price to go up and you'll get rewarded.
And then and the mechanism for shorting is you borrow stock from a broker or someone who owns the stock already. And he worked out that the stock had been borrowed, I think it was 200% of the market cap. So it was like shorted more than it should be.
We will keep this discussion like very like non-technical because I think people, I don't think we're a business casual podcast. If I start talking about like the actual instruments and how everything works, people will like click away. But yeah, it is a way. When we say people are borrowing money, like I think when you hear that, people are thinking that like you're like a little gremlin going to a bank and like borrowing something like physically. Like you're clicking a button on an app that there's long and short. Yeah. Long is when you're betting that the price will go up, and short is betting that the price goes down. And you're clicking a button, and the app will go and find these people for you that you can bet against the stock with their shares. And so, yeah, it's a pretty simple thing that a lot of people have access to these days.
And then, yeah, from there, he just like started posting his thesis in Wall Street Bets specifically. I think he did it in actually quite a lot of subreddits, and more and more people, I guess, caught on. And then what happened was people bought the stock, and then the stock started going up because there was more and more interest in it. And then that meant that some of the shorts, the people who were betting against the price going up, were losing more and more money. And some of them had to get rid of their shorts, which makes the price go up even more.
Yeah.
And then that kind of was this like, self-fulfilling cycle, and eventually just led to this crazy, I think it was like about 3 weeks or 4 weeks of the price just like doubling every week.
Just kept going
Went from
up.
like $5 to $100. And then RoaringKitty obviously was in really fucking early.
Yeah.
And made, I think he turned 50 grand into like 20 mil.
It was more than that. I think he turned it into almost $50 million. And so while he was doing this, by the way, he was posting his profit and loss in real time every single day, or almost every single day. So people can see, the stock went up this day and he was up $3 million, and it went down this day and he's down $10 million, and he was going through these wild swings, and people were kind of joining along. And this community just formed really around him and his beliefs. And I think what's probably important to establish here is who was shorting. Because that's what drove this narrative. The people that were shorting the shit out of GameStop were hedge funds. And it's basically guys in suits, mostly in New York, Wall Street, that this is what they do for a living. They long and they short a bunch of companies. And
next, they thought GameStop was like, oh, look at this. It's
and GameStop,
shitty
by the way,
retailer. It's not a good business.
GameStop was not really, it still isn't a good business. But they just took advantage of that to the point where it was overshorted. Like there was too many people betting against the company doing well, when really it probably was unfairly shorted at that point. Because it still has some business and has some footprint and
does it still have all the
share.
Retail locations and stuff?
Yeah, it's still like a thing. GameStop had a lot of macro trends against them. People are buying games online.
COVID.
COVID happened. So people, more people stopped playing consoles and they started playing PCs. So they'll just download Steam and buy games. They're not going in stores to buy an Xbox game or PlayStation 4 game. So just in general, there's all these like headwinds for the business that it just made for a good narrative to short. So anyway, RoaringKitty kind of shined this light where it was retail versus the elite. Retail meaning just the everyday common folk versus the people that do this for a living. And it just turns out that if you have enough retail, they can overpower the few elite. And then that's what happened here. All these hedge funds, their shorts started being in major losses. And that, like you mentioned, when you exit a short, you have to buy back the stock. And so they're just, when they're getting out, because they're at a loss now, they're making the poor people richer and richer and richer. And then there was this kind of transfer of wealth where it wasn't just RoaringKitty that turned 50K into 50 million. There was people that, your everyday teacher that gets paid $40,000 a year put 10 grand into it and, made $200,000. And then there was college students put $300 and made a couple $1,000, or people that paid off their student debt. And so that's probably the important highlights and recap of that saga. Am I missing any, or did we miss anything there?
And then they basically, RoaringKitty, there was an SEC, what's it called? Fucking Senate.
So the regulatory bodies that overlook the financial markets in the States, the SEC, they were they
were kind of saying he was almost trying to manipulate the stock price or whatever, these communications, and he had a really fantastic statement. And those, the big hedge funds were angry and blah, blah, blah. And then they made a movie out of it, and it was like, oh, here's the ending. This guy in his basement made $27 million, and all these college students and randoms made a fuck ton of money. And then that movie probably came out a year ago.
They made that movie too early. It was insane that they made. Usually when pivotal events happen, like you give it some time to really see if anything else happens after it.
Yeah,
like
the Big Short was what 10 years after the
like they made
crisis.
a movie about the financial crisis, I think in 2016 or whatever, or 2017, 20, I don't know when, but 10 years, a decade afterwards. Whereas in this case,
history.
Whereas in this case, 2020 is when this happened, and I think 2023 is when Dumb Money, the movie based on this GameStop saga, came out.
Did you both watch it?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, have you watched it?
No, I haven't.
So for people that don't, like, we've just explained it all, but you can watch that movie to everything we just talked about will play out in that movie. It's a good movie.
It's good.
Seth
like
Rogen's
legit
in it,
production
right?
and okay, all right.
And it made, I'm pretty sure Dumb Money, like it grossed like a lot of, like it did really well in the box office, I think. Wow. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But anyway.
And then, so they made the movie about it and you think, oh yeah, cool. He made the money. It's all done, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's like
what's the next thing?
Happy ending type thing. There was this like very unclear, just the last thing about the whole saga. Like the DC and Wall Street were very against, he's got a few names. His real name's Keith Gill.
Yeah.
His screen name is RoaringKitty. And then his Reddit username is DeepFuckingValue. So when we say all those, that's who we're referring to.
And he called GameStop Gamecock.
Yeah, oh, he did?
Yeah.
So anyway, like they kind of left like, oh, you're pumping and dumping and you're manipulating the stock price and you're leading retail into like this very speculative gambling type of activity. So that's how they kind of left off. Whereas like he, amongst like the common folk was like Robin Hood, was like this like, it's almost like this tale of this guy led us to the light and has shown us that we have a voice and we can, go against the establishment in Wall Street. So,
and then
wait, before Andre, do you have any questions? So Andre probably knows the least about this topic. So is there any questions? Does all of that make sense? I'm just pretending that you're like the listener who doesn't know much about this and they have a question.
So before all of this happened and it all blew up, the hedge funds were just shorting it like they would many other
It was
companies.
just one of the other 20 stocks in their portfolio.
Right.
Yeah. And it just turned out that they were shorting it a bit too. Like they got a bit greedy where they were like, this company's going to fucking zero.
Yeah.
Like they're like, this is, and it's not like they were wrong. It's like the business fundamentally.
It was going to zero.
It was going to zero. Like over a long-term trend.
Yes.
It's like if you were, okay, this is a great example that everyone will understand. It's like in the last few years before Blockbuster went out of business, you were like, I'm going to short Blockbuster because Netflix is coming around and people aren't buying DVDs anymore. They're not renting DVDs. This is literally the exact same thing, except in this case, in my opinion, this all happened because it's got really nothing to do with GameStop and its business. It's more that retail, the common folk, found this way to vote for the change they want to see in the world. And the voting in this case was just, I'm going to buy the stock.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why this whole, saga happened. It was more about that and sticking it to the man. And, I want my, because this was COVID. Everybody was making money in COVID. We know, there's a bunch of people in this office right now that made their fortunes during COVID, including myself. So like, that was like, everyone just wanted that for them.
Yes.
And this was their vehicle to do it. So, yeah.
But the hedge funds are investing other people's money, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm more interested in that. Who's the losers here? Who are the faces?
Okay. That's
and also
that's a good
like
question,
like imagine you're like a rich guy. You park some of your money in a hedge fund, and your fucking hedge fund is shorting GameStop. Like that was probably a good idea maybe at the time. I don't know, but like fuck.
Yeah,
me.
like I said, there's risks involved in any trade, right? And the risk is that some guy called RoaringKitty on Reddit strikes an army against the stock you're shorting, and you lose all your money.
So to answer your question, so hedge funds are just usually a group of a few people. They go to rich people and say, hey, look, you're busy generating wealth through your business, which is maybe someone runs a bunch of daycares or maybe someone is an executive at this company. They have a bunch of money. These hedge fund people, they're like, I will take your money because you don't have enough time to invest your own money. I will invest it on behalf of you. And the way my business will work is that I will charge you a fee. And there's 2 fees that they charge. It's famously called 2 and 20, where 2% of the money that they manage and invest on behalf of clients will go to them as a flat fee, or like as a 2% fee per annum, no matter what the performance is. So they could be losing money in the market, but they will still get 2%. So if they raise $100 million, and let's say that year they invest all the $100 million and they're down, let's say $10 million, they will still get $2 million in their pocket, the 2% from that $100 million in their pocket, no matter
of the invested
what.
figure, not the value of the portfolio.
No, the value, of the money that they've raised.
Yeah. Right.
And in some cases, there's different clauses and stuff where it is like money that's in the market, blah, blah, blah. But in general, just if they raise $100 million, they're getting 2% of that per year.
So if it doubled in value, they'd still be getting 2% of the
Then there's the 20.
Yeah.
Then that's just the 2.
Yeah.
Then there's the 20 of the 2 and 20, where this is now, the 2% is called the management fee. And then the 20% is the performance fee. And 20% is, hey, look, I'm going to go invest this. I'm going to invest this $100 million of your money. If I double it, right, I make $100 million in profit. I want 20% of that $100 million in profit.
Right.
Which is a lot of fucking money. They're getting $20 million of not taking risk, putting their own money in the market. They're like the hedge fund people are taking literally zero risk.
Yep.
Now, sometimes there's a thing called a GP commit or commitment where the people, GP stands for general partner. If you are the owners of the fund investing on behalf of the clients, sometimes you'll put your own money in it as well. So you can show, hey, look, I'm taking a bit of risk here. And also like, if I'm losing money, I'm not just using your money, I'm losing my money as well.
Yeah.
And so some people sometimes do that, but there are cases where people don't put their own money at all.
And a lot of like great investors, I forgot the dude's name, the Citadel guy, but
Ken Griffin?
Yeah, Ken Griffin. They only have, it's like 50%, I think he's retired now, but 50% his money, and then 50% employees and no outside money.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. That's the high frequency trading one that Citadel,
he does a bunch of different things. That is one of them. He does like market making and stuff like that.
Maybe Simmons.
There's
Simmons guy.
Jim Simmons. So that guy, he does. That's a whole nother side topic. But there's a bunch of these hedge fund people where, if you're not familiar with this world, these are the richest people in the world. Yeah. So like, some people will think, someone worth $20 billion, $30 billion is like they're the richest people in the world, but they're not cash rich.
Yep.
They have a business where the valuation of their stake in the business is worth $20, $30 billion. But these hedge fund people, remember, 2 and 20, and they're both getting that in cash every single year. And they don't raise just $100 million. Some of these funds are $10 billion, $50 billion, $100 billion. So they're getting, if it's a $100 billion fund, which there's plenty of them out there, they're getting $2 billion in their pocket every single year. Doesn't matter if they're winning or losing. And so, these are the most like liquid rich people in the world, where they're literally getting paid. They're getting paid more than executives at banks, and they're getting paid more than big tech CEOs. They're getting paid more than your most famous celebrities, musicians, anything like that, because they're making a couple $100 million, couple $1 billion a year in cash straight to them.
Yep.
Which is like, it's a crazy world for people that aren't sort of familiar with it. Anywho,
GameStop.
Yeah.
Basically,
that answers your question?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
We kind of thought that everyone felt like that was the end of, RoaringKitty. He didn't post on anything on Reddit, nothing. No one heard from him. And he'd gone from posting every day to nothing. He's like, guys, I'm out of here, right?
Yeah.
And then about a month ago, RoaringKitty's Twitter posted a video of it was like a Batman clip or something. And it was like kind of like, like inspiring like meme thing. And then he posted another one of like Forrest Gump running. And then it was like RoaringKitty's face on Forrest Gump running from the SEC and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And for like every day for maybe like, it was like, no, like every hour he was posting a clip for like 3 days, and then that made the price pump. And that went from like 25 to 50. So it probably doubled over a 2-day period. That's when I bought it at $50. I was like, oh yeah, we're
actually
back.
invested.
I'm like, we're back. And then
emotionally and a little financially.
No, financially. Yeah, definitely.
And then and then the next day it just dropped 50%. So I was down 50%.
And you share how much you put in or no?
I put $1,000 US.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I'll just have a.
You put $1,000 in, and
I'll have a bet. And And he basically stopped posting the videos, right? So then there were these theories that his Twitter was hacked and this and that. And then like it was completely, he's still off the radar. GameStop's done, blah, blah, blah. And then when was it? Probably 4 days ago?
Yeah, very recently.
Very
in the past week. Yeah. So he was posting all these memes on Twitter and he's not speaking. He's not typing any tweets or he's not communicating with anyone. All he's doing is posting these
Weird
movie clips and there's like all this subliminal messages towards like, hey, buy the stock. He's not saying buy the stock, but it's kind of like, hey, you know what I'm known for? You know what I did in 2020? I'm going to try and do it again. And so the stock's go up, it's going up, it's down. It was going up because he's like posting these positive things about, I like the stock or along those lines. And then it would go down 50% because he's like, remember, these are like weird messages.
It's not him saying buy.
Yeah. People are interpreting these memes in other ways. So some people are interpreting like a certain image or a certain video is him saying, hey, sell GameStop. So then it'd go. So this guy is one man and he's influencing the trading, the price action.
It's a $14 billion company.
It's a big ass company. And so he was doing that. And then, literally like a few days ago, remember when we said back in 2020 when he was sharing screenshots on Reddit about how much he's up and down?
Called the YOLO updates.
Yeah, the YOLO updates. He did this for the first time since 2020, like a few days ago. But last time he put $50,000 into GameStop. This time he put about $170 million.
Jeez.
And so there's a lot of questions in relation to that.
Right.
A being the last time he did this, we saw that because we could see how much he made.
Yeah.
And I think he made around $50 million. So the immediate question is, how the hell did he get $170 million? And there's a lot of theories that we could go into with that. Is it his own money? Did he raise money? Is there someone helping him out? Blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so he bought $170 million worth. And now I will try and break down exactly what he did in the financial instrument that he used because I think this is actually really interesting because you can't, like GameStop going from $20 to $40 per share. You're doubling your money, right? Because that's the share price is doubling.
Yep.
But he's leveraged, meaning that his bit of money, if the actual stock price doubles, he's 10xing, 20xing, 50xing his money instead of just a normal doubling.
Right.
Because So I'm trying to not explain this in such a confusing, complicated way. But essentially what he did is, I think he took, I don't know the exact amounts, but he bought like, I don't know, $50 to $100 million worth of normal GameStop shares. So he just went on market, went on his brokerage account. I think he's maybe using E-Trade or something. And he's literally just, not all at once, but he's probably just like, I just bought 100,000 here. I just bought 1 million here. I just bought 3 million. And I think you can see the logs of his purchases. And I think he's literally just buying 3 million at a time, 2 million at a time, blah, blah, blah. So he does that for a while until he has about, I don't know the exact number, sorry, but 50 to 100 million worth. And then on top of that, so that's normal. That's not leveraged. So that $100 million, let's say if he bought it at $20, GameStop goes to 40, he doubles his 100 million. So he makes $100 million profit. You have a total of $200 million. So that's very easy to understand. However, on top of that, he took another like $60 million and he bought call options on GameStop. And so wait, do you know about options, or this might be good for us to go back and forth here just so I can explain.
Is that the same as margin?
It's a bit different. Essentially what an option is it's like you have the right, or you have like the entitlement to make a bet that the price will either be above a certain number or below a certain number at a specified date. Okay. So in GameStop, in his example, he bought call options as calls and puts. Calls is when you're betting that the price will go up. Puts is you're betting that the price is going down. He bought a fuckload of call options. I believe it was 120,000 call options, which equals $60 million because each. I'm gonna go so into like
options. It costs money to have the right to do it.
It costs money to do this. So so that's $60 million. Like that's the premium of this contract. This is gonna sound way too complicated. I'm gonna try and hold back a bit. Anyway, he bought the right to buy a fuckload of shares at $20. But the only thing is he can only do that if the stock is trading at $20 or above. And the specified date that he specifically bought on was 21st of June. So as of recording right now, it's
kind of 2 weeks away.
It's the 7th of June right now. So the stock needs to be trading at $20 or above by 21st of June, or his $60 million is gone. It's worthless. Those call options are worthless. They're zero. And so what can happen in between that time frame is that if the stock starts already, like let's say it was trading at $15 and you bought these options for $20, the strike price, it's called strike price at $20. And it starts, and then, GameStop goes up the next day and it goes past $20 already. It was only a day later and you still have 2 weeks for it to be above $20. The value of those call options can substantially increase a fuck ton. And that's where the leverage comes in. And that's how he's almost becoming a billionaire in the next, 11 hours or whenever the market opens next. And so did I explain that in a good way? Options?
I think that makes sense.
What does Andre
Can you
think?
give like the 15-second summary?
Right to buy. He bought the right to buy however many shares at $21.
Yep.
And he paid $5 per share for that right. So the price has to be at 26 for him to make any money.
Or he loses it all.
Or it's just like, why'd you buy the right to buy the share at 26 when it's already at 25 and anyone can buy it?
Yeah.
And then now it's at like $50. So you can basically, it's like a time machine, going back in time when it's 50 and going back in time to when it's 24 and loading the fuck up. And then everyone else is buying at 50 and he bought at 24 and he can just sell and double his money. And because you can buy a fuck ton of options, like he can spend $60 million on options instead of buying the shares because, it just leverages it. And it means that I think he'll probably be able to sell his options as well.
So I should really explain this point. He's got, when you buy call options, right? This is still the intended use case of options are you're buying the option to acquire the shares at a later date at an agreed price today, if that makes sense. So each contract is 100 shares. And like I said, he bought 120,000 contracts. So that's 12 million shares that he's basically going, if we pretend that the stock market was like a man or a woman or something that you go to them and he's basically going to them and going like, look, I want to be able to buy 12 million shares of GameStop on the 21st or by the 21st of June at $20, no matter what it's actually trading at on that day.
Gotcha.
Oh my God, I'm like really proud that I actually explained that that way. That was easy to understand,
Definitely,
right?
Yeah.
So even if on the 19th of June, it's trading at $65, he's saying, no, we have a contract that I'm buying it at $20. And you would think, wait, what? Like it's trading at 65 and you want to buy it for $20? Like that's crazy. You can immediately sell it for a profit on the market. And he's like, well, that's the bet we made. It was a very unsure thing that it would be at $20 by this date. And we have this contract saying that you would honor this at $20.
So who's he betting against in this case? Like who?
So anyone can.
There's a counterparty to every single transaction, whether it's long, short, call options, put options.
Okay, so against
there's a counterparty.
Option, then they're buying the put.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's someone who basically says, well, I will sell you the shares at 20.
Yep. They call it like there's a counterparty riding the option, and we probably won't get into it.
But who's doing that for that volume? Like isn't that?
It's a liquid market on anything. Like basically people, like anyone who's short it. And also this is fucking GameStop as well, right? Like there's plenty of people who are like, there's full different perspectives that they'll be thinking, this is just a fad. The price is going to crash once all the retail investors leave. Like I'm going to make a fuck ton off this like $20 share. This guy has to buy it off me at $20 a share.
Yes. So him doing that and then posting it online, is he sort of like rallying the troops to?
And also, so the guy who basically the man with the option, he's already got his money from RoaringKitty. So he's got his how much was it? 60 mil or something?
He bought 60 mil of options.
So that dude, like the stock market in this case, whatever, has 60 mil now. And if RoaringKitty, if the price is below 20, RoaringKitty's not gonna exercise his options. They're worthless, and he's spent that 60 mil, and then that's when that guy wins.
Right.
So that's the two sides of the bet.
Yep.
And so look, there's obviously a lot that we can explain about how options work, and it's probably best if you pause this video and watch a video that's like specifically explaining exactly how options work, because I think we probably shouldn't spend time explaining about that.
This ain't finance 101.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of intricacies and people like Wall Street needs options to effectively do things like hedging, which comes from the word.
And like if you're a farmer worried about the weather next year, you can create a contract that means that you can sell your wheat for a certain price at the end of the year. And there's no, if someone dumps a bunch of wheat on your market and the price goes down, you still have a contract with that Woolworths or Coles or some big supermarket chain. That option's there so that you've got that guaranteed, and you usually do pay some kind of premium for that guarantee. But it's very used a lot in commodities as well.
So there's a lot of real life use cases with options and how like financial markets play a role in. There's a lot of things we can go there. Anyway, So he dumped like whatever $160 million worth into effectively going long on GameStop. He is betting
Just all in.
Yeah, he's betting that the price of GameStop will go up. And the reason why this is so entertaining, one, it's such a large sum of money, but two, there is the price of GameStop is a very public thing. Everyone can search up what the price is. And you're seeing his bet play out in real time. You'll know every day he's posting if he's up and down, and you see how much he's made today, how much he's lost today. It has like an end date. Like, when the options at least.
There's anticipation for it.
There's anticipation. And so like this has become like a whole big thing. On day one, we don't have this in front of us, but on day one, I'm pretty sure he was up like $8 million in one day. So he bought like the $160 million worth, and he was up $8 million.
He was up like 100 yesterday.
And then 2 days ago he was up 100.
Yeah.
I think yesterday he was up 400, and then today
after hours trading, I think he's probably going to crack a bill.
Yeah, so GameStop right now, and this is the reason why we're making a video or like a podcast about now. It's at the price where his original $160 million is currently valued at almost $1 billion, or by the time this is out, it's maybe over $1 billion, where this guy has effectively turned $50,000 5 years ago into $1 billion, all on one stock. And that's just like insane that someone like this is a very like historical event.
Yeah.
That one and there's like this amalgamation of like, you've got the stock market, you've got retail, like the rise of retail, you've got influencer in the like how important or like how much influence one person, like a normal person, can have. Like there's like all these like interesting, novel, new things that would only happen in this day and age. That's all coming together, and now it's like playing out on this grand scale where, you just like if he pulls this off, and like we'll talk about this next about how he actually takes that $1 billion, like he'll log in and he'll see $1 billion, but that's not $1 billion in his bank account. He needs to sell it, and there's a lot of complexities with selling it. But if he does pull it off, even if he made a couple $100 million and not the $1 billion, he should be on the cover of Time.
It's the best trade in history.
Well, the question I was going to ask is, is it publicly known who he is? Like you said, I think you said his name before, right? But like, do we know much about him? Does he make fucking YouTube videos? You know what I'm saying?
Andre.
Yeah,
these are great questions.
Public.
He's a very public person. He worked as a financial advisor.
Yeah.
It's actually funny that I'm pretty sure he used to work in the compliance department of a wealth advisory firm or something along those lines. And it's funny, like that's funny because people now, like lawyers and just like the general public, are now like saying that he's doing the complete opposite. Like this is a very unethical thing he's doing, where he's like rallying the troops and he's buying like a financial security and then telling and showing other people with the intention of they're going to buy, and then he sells on them. So there's a lot of like, is this ethical? Is this legal? Because at least in Australia, there's laws protecting retail traders and investors from being pumped and dumped by influencers. Pumping and dumping just means like, hey, I'm Ishan, I like this stock. You guys buy it as well.
And you don't tell us that.
But I don't have any disclosures. I own a lot of it already. They start buying it up, and as they're buying it up, I'm selling into them. And so like things like that is very shady. So there's a lot of like talk around that. But we should probably touch on how does he actually sell this in the first place. So let's say tomorrow GameStop opens up at $70 a share. At $70 a share, he logs into his account. He literally sees $1 billion
in one share.
in one stock. Now, to sell $1 billion worth, there's a few things. One, like I said, half of his position, not half, I'm just rounding it up, but half of it is just long GameStop. So he has 5 million shares that he needs to sell to other people at $70 a share. So he needs to sell, let's just say $500 million worth of these shares to people who think GameStop is going to go up. Right?
From 70.
Which at $70, I'm pretty sure it's a $25 billion company. And this company, I'm pretty sure loses money and it's actually like a really shit business. And so that's where some of the, ethical questions come in where
some idiot who's late on the story is buying it thinking they're going to make some money.
Going to buy the stock at $70? It's probably going to be the people that follow him and think that they're sticking it to the man and that they can be like him, that they could make their first $1 million or 10 million or whatever it is. And so for him to do that, that's actually possible because GameStop does have, like, this is a phenomenon. Like, it does have a lot of daily trading volume. I was looking at the stats before. I think just yesterday, 150 million shares were traded in one day. Remember, he has 5 million shares. So for him to sell 5 million shares into 150 million shares worth, so that's, I think we could tick that box off that he could theoretically
chop it up.
He could practically sell 5 million shares worth
equity
in a day or 2 days or 3 days or whatever, and it wouldn't substantially impact the price, I think.
I think the problem though is he's posting the YOLO updates every day. And if he posts one if he posts one tomorrow and his portfolio is empty and he's like, I sold, guys. That is just going to absolutely fuck the price. And so many people are watching his equity holdings and they're going to be looking for any like large trades. And same with the options as well. So they know exactly what options he has and they'll be able to see when they sell. And then that will just disgustingly influence price. And like he will end up rugging himself.
Well, he wouldn't, because if he's out, there's no more but
he's got to get out quickly enough that the price doesn't slip.
Yes, which is that's the only thing that in my mind I'm trying to think about it logically. If he has to sell 5 million shares, and like I said, there's 150 million shares being traded in a single day, I think he could do that without substantially impacting the price. This is if he's selling in like secret, right? Like if he's posting like, guys, I'm selling now. Everyone else is going to start selling, and there's not going to be enough buyers to absorb all of his supply. And so the equity part of it, that all makes sense, and I think that there's enough hysteria around it where there's enough liquidity, they call it, that he could get out in that way. Although that is like a big number. That's $500 million, whatever. That's one side of it. The other side is his options. He has two, I don't want to use the word options again, but he has two options for his options. One is the intended use of, it's trading over $20. I've got 120,000 contracts saying that I have the right to buy 12 million shares at $20. I want to buy those 12 million shares now at $20. So he has that option, but he needs the money to buy 12 million shares at $20. And so we'll cut this part out while I do some quick math here.
600 mil. Oh, actually more. $840 million to buy 120. On an $8.4 billion.
And it's $240 million.
What to what? Is it $2? No, because 120 million shares. No, how many shares is he buying?
No. Well, I'm using my calculator. It's 200. It's 12 million shares he's buying at $20.
Oh, 12. I thought it was 120 million shares. I was like, fucking hell, that's a lot.
$12.6 billion. No, yeah. So like $240 million he will need. There's a few ways he can get that money. One is if someone lets him borrow it, like maybe an Elon Musk.
I don't think he can be fucked. But yeah, an Elon.
Yeah, and Elon Musk is like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll lend you $240 million
for the meme.
To buy it for the meme. There could be a bank potentially that goes like, look, you have collateral here. We're willing to lend you the money to purchase these shares as long as you sell them for a profit and you sell it back to us. Because remember, he's buying it for $240 million, but as soon as he gets those shares, he's buying for $20. The shares are actually on market worth $70. So he can. That's the opportunity. He can sell
$50 a share. Yeah,
$50 a share, $60, $70, whatever it's trading at, and then just give the 240 back to the bank, and he keeps the remainder $600 million or whatever it is.
Yep.
So that's exercising the options. That's that one pathway, and it's intended use for the options. The other way that he could get out of this is if he just sells the 120,000 contracts he bought in the first place. Each contract has a price, and the price he bought it for, I believe, was $5 to begin with. Now, while it's in the money, the options are in the money. The strike price was $20. Now it's trading at $60. He's way in the money. It's way over the $20. People would be willing to buy those contracts for higher than $5 because $5 is when $20 seemed like it was an uncertain thing.
They'd be willing to buy them for $40 because that guarantees like $1 profit.
There is like a theoretical value that you could, there's a theoretical price that you can, there's math equations and stuff to figure out how much an option is worth based on what it's trading at and blah, blah, blah. But that's another way he can do it where he doesn't have to exercise the options. He doesn't have to buy the 12 million shares. He can just sell the 120,000 contracts that he has.
I think that's an easier option.
And that is an easier option. However, now I'm going too deep into it, but there's not enough liquidity or what they call open interest for him to sell. There's not enough people willing to buy. It's a very specific option.
It's June 21st.
June 21st at $20 strike price. I think I was looking at this tweet earlier on today, and it's probably changed as this goes live, but apparently he is 83% of the open of the interest in the specific contract. So there's not enough people that are willing to buy it. He's all of it. If there's 120,000 contracts for him to sell, there's not enough people to buy those 120,000 contracts at that particular price that he wants. And so look, both options are very hard to get out easily, and it's going to take some time.
What an annoying,
you're worth $1 billion, but to really have it cash in bank, and we're not including the tax that he'll have to pay on that, blah, 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 but whatever.
Or the any $400 million tax.
So, but regardless, he should, if he just doesn't, get too greedy or and by the way, we don't know what his intentions are. Yep. He could be this motherfucker could be like the Joker in Dark Knight, burning the money. He might not give a fuck about the $1 billion and he might ride this to zero or back to zero or he might make the $1 billion and then give it away or we don't know what his intentions are. It might not be profit driven. Obviously on the surface level, it looks obviously profit driven, but we just don't know what he wants to do with it. So that's the potential options of getting out of.
And I reckon he comes out of this with 400 mil US. If it hits the $1 billion price tag, I reckon that's what he will end up with about. I think he'll lose 60% to just crap.
I legitimately think there is a scenario, and this is what everyone's talking about right now in the retail trading community, or the common folk are talking about. If he does somehow find the money to exercise the options,
goes up more.
He has to now get 12 million shares, which means that he's going to pump up. There's not enough supply for people to, so he's going to have to pump up the fucking stock. And so there is a scenario where as he does that, remember, financial markets are really interesting because there's so many layers to it. Like it's a game of dominoes. Him buying those shares indirectly triggers a bunch of people like in Wall Street and the elite that's shorting the stock. If the price is going up, that means they're losing money. And so they're going to have to remember, to exit, for them to get rid of their shorts, they're going to have to buy. Yeah. So he's buying and then he's making them buy, which makes the price go up even more. And then as the price goes up even more, Sally looks at her phone, sees GameStop is 100% up, and she starts buying. And then this is like, just like this dominoes effect.
And it just keeps going.
And it just keeps going until it doesn't, until it runs, the momentum like gets exhaustive. And there is some scenario that
like if
GameStop...
if he pumps that, like, what was that number? 240 million.
Yeah.
Because honestly, he's like, I've got enough money for my family and stuff. I'm going to put 240, I'm going to buy all this stock and basically buy it off all of these GameStop people who have been diamond hands, supporting me, blah, blah, blah. It could happen.
There is also a scenario where to cover exercising the options, he might sell his long equity position, the 5 million shares he initially bought that has no leverage. It's not options. It's just straight shares in the business. He might sell that, pocket the $500 million, and then use a portion of that to exercise the options. Remember the 240 million? So like, there's so many different scenarios that can play out here. And this is obviously like it's like the talk of the town, at least in the business and finance world. And yeah, there's so many implications from this where I don't think he's going to be like the last person to do something like this, where someone gets behind a stock or a crypto and then they have a message that resonates with a group of people that want to get behind them. Because I bet there are a handful of people that are buying GameStop not because they want to make money, not because they think it's a good company, but because they want RoaringKitty to become a billionaire. That is legitimately like, I know there's 100% college kids that are putting $300 in the GameStop because they're like, oh my God, like if I pump up the price to, I'm going to help him become a billionaire. And that's fuck you to the establishment that one of us became a billionaire. Yep. And
it's interesting. I think it's almost similar to crypto where you have an asset that is effectively worthless apart from transacting anonymously.
Who's willing to pay the price, whatever price for it? Yeah,
it's a Bitcoin, right? Like what is it? It's created out of nowhere. Blah blah blah. It's not even a real thing. But you have the, I guess, ideals attached to it, which were like freedom from the banking system and young people making lots of money and it's effectively like marketing, right? Like people buy products that they want to align with. Yes. And the same thing with RoaringKitty. It's like, I want to align with this like rebel Peter Pan motherfucker and like fuck off these hedge fund people. So I'm going to buy that stock. I want to align with these like young crypto rich people. I'm going to buy Bitcoin. Same deal, I think. Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. And something that happened recently that's similar to this, very similar, is Donald Trump had a company that went public. Initially, it was to do with his social network. He has like his own version of Twitter, Truth Social, I think. Yeah, true. Oh, what a fucking idiot. He listed that, and that was, or maybe it was a SPAC or something. But then there was a special purpose acquisition company. Yeah, let's not go into that right now. But anyway, like he has a public company, and he had an announcement where he was like, or maybe there wasn't even an announcement, but people started buying the stock, not because of the social media platform. It loses money, I'm pretty sure. It doesn't really make money. It's shitty. There's not many people on it. Yeah. It's literally just because people are like, I like Donald Trump, and I'm just going to associate this stock with like buying a piece of his brand or showing my support to him and showing like, I want the stock price to go up so the Dems, those damn libtards will like get angry and you know what I mean? Like it's again, like I said earlier on, like
there's a lot of emotion and
it's emotion, like you're using your wallet to reflect of a change that you want to see in the world. And this is like your way of voting. And it's funny because a stock at the end of the day is, you have a company that will pay, you put $10 in and it will give you $1 a year in profit for the next 10 years. You've made your money back and then you hold it for the next 10. You're buying cash flow for the future. That's the intended. That's the intended. And that's what a rational investor does, is they buy it so that the price
they're paying now is less than what the stock will pay them over the next, whatever their horizon is, 10 years, 20 years of just straight dividends. And then now, and this is my favorite part of markets, is the irrationality, where you can have a stock like GameStop, which just is complete horseshit. Like the actual company is completely detached from the stock, and the stock is effectively like a behavior indicator of retail versus institutional, and that it's a battle going on within that stock. And then you see a lot of it, like as soon as people start talking about it, and then there's like the classic like idiom thing of, if the doorman's giving you stock tips, like it's time to sell your stocks because it's, it's toppy, like it's not institutional, it's not rational anymore. And I don't totally believe that, because it's crazy now. Like, RoaringKitty, he's effectively the doorman in that situation. Like, he's not a fucking, hedge fund advisor, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Which was funny. Like he worked in the finance. He was a wealth advisor.
But like he wasn't like.
But yeah, he wasn't one of those fucks in Wall Street.
Yeah,
like
he wasn't one of those fucks.
Skyrise buildings, making billions of dollars of like 9/11 and stuff. Yeah. You're right. It's GameStop. The stock represents like an idea rather than a business.
And I think the internet's given, and obviously just technology, and it's meant that like a thing that was finance, which you needed a degree for, and then a CFA, and then this, and then internships, and everything's behind closed doors, and you kind of need all these like certifications and stuff. And then now some guy on Reddit can share his research, and if you've done your own research as well, you can read it and go, that actually fucking makes sense. I'm going to buy that stock, instead of having to kind of abide by the usual financial rules and stuff. But I think a lot of people lose a lot of money not researching and understanding how things work. So.
I'm of the camp, and I want to hear what you guys think, but I'm of the camp that more regular, normal people like us should be able to express their opinion on a stock, share their analysis, share their due diligence, and it shouldn't be a thing that's like frowned upon, because like Wall Street does this all the time. And they do it on a much
every day,
and they do it on a much higher scale, where they will go on like Bloomberg, they'll go on TV and tell people to buy or sell a stock, or their opinions on the stock that they hold with, and then like. And so the goal for them to, or whoever, to think that we, like normal people, shouldn't be able to do it is like, I'm very much the view of like, I'm on the people side, that we should be able to do that. And I think that's how people learn how to access and use and these financial instruments, because like how else are we supposed to learn? Like I learned how to use, how to trade and invest and use options and all these like complex things, not through university, because a lot of university does sometimes teach you some of this stuff on a theoretical level.
It teaches you the maths, but it doesn't teach you like what platform do you trade options on. It doesn't
actually teach you how to actually use it. I learned it from, I'm pretty sure like Martin Shkreli's YouTube videos, even though he's like
even though he's a criminal,
isn't
he the guy that?
But he's incredibly smart. He's incredibly smart.
HIV medication.
He's probably a terrible person, but he's incredibly smart at finance, and he did like free lectures on YouTube on how to do this stuff. And
sorry, he's out of jail now, isn't he?
That was a crazy. Remember that the Wu-Tang album? He was like the guy for a bit.
Yeah. The guy, as in like everyone hated him.
Yeah. And then remember like Wu-Tang like had like sent this scary video back to him, like, you're not fucking buying our album. Like, with the goons.
That's that guy's got it'd be cool to do a topic on him, because he's
get him
interesting. If he wants to come on.
Him and Fire Festival Billy.
Oh, that'd be a good guest. Oh, we've got some cool guests coming. Don't worry. We say that every single week, but we're just trying to like do at least like a couple dozen episodes before really going full into this. Even though we've spent godless amounts of money on this set already, but anyway,
it's looking good.
It's looking better.
Bad, but we'll get there.
Yeah, no, I just think that like what's equitable and fair is that everyone should have the right and access to learn what an option is and how they can use it, and they should be able to learn about it and use it. Because right now it's very gated. It's gated to people that go to an Ivy League school and have parents in finance and work at an investment bank or a trading fund and blah, blah, blah. And that's just like not fair at all.
I guess the logic on the regulator side is that, like, you know,
they want to protect
the
the retail.
working man is too stupid to have these tools. And it's like,
yes.
It's like, that's pretty fucking dumb. Like,
Yeah.
if they're willing to work it out and have a bet, it's their money that they've earned. They can do what they want with it. And they know that there is a risk. It's the same as gambling. Like that, you know, that if you put all your money into a stock, it can go to zero.
There's the trade-off of if you let everyone go wild and do whatever they want, that obviously there's going to be some people who are just genuinely, for a lack of a better term, stupid, and they will lose money and they could lose their life savings and blah, blah, blah. But I think that's a necessary trade-off to have if you want to have, like an equitable, fair world where people get to learn about the same things and get to use the same things, and everyone at least has the chance to make, you know, this type of money. Everyone sees the Wall Street people living life and making all this money, and they're thinking, how are they doing that? Why can't I do that when you can? And I feel like really strongly about this because I feel like this was me. I was a kid in a small rural town in Australia. I didn't have any finance subjects in school. In fact, I signed up for one, and it was the year that I was about to go into like an economics or finance unit. They got rid of it because not enough people wanted to do it.
Yep.
And so I turned to the internet and I watched motherfuckers like Martin Shkreli and you know, there's a bunch of people like a bunch of resources for free online that I'll just use and kind of use common sense and learned. And I was able to make something from it, and I was like, you know what? I ended up making the type of money that those people are making. And, you know, I just think that's why, that's probably my opinion.
And then as soon as you make money doing those kinds of things, all of the institutional hoity-toity people are welcoming to you and want to know how you did it. But they will first, if you are like a RoaringKitty type, they will try and sue you or use the system in some way to be like, no, he can't do that. He's manipulating the stock, blah, blah, blah.
This is like a really big reason why finance is predominantly like old white dudes.
Yeah.
Right. That's the reason why it is like not a diverse, because like, I mean, I'm a brown kid like me is equally as capable as learning the same things. If not, like, I'm equally capable of becoming better than them and making more money than them. There's no reason why I should be gatekeeped out of it, or someone else that's a minority or whatever. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think the world's shifting towards that. I think this is a good movement. There's going to be regulators that are looking at what RoaringKitty is doing now, and we'll probably end on like this topic of what happens if he ends up making like $1 billion, a couple $100 million. And
I just don't think there's, on the age
what do you
thing,
think the pushback will be?
Well, the age thing's interesting because there are new factors that can move markets now. They're not, there are retail investors, there are randoms with Robinhood on their phone, and there are internet forums that these old fuckers aren't in.
Yeah.
And that they are missing a little chunk of like money that's flowing into certain stocks, which is obviously the GameStop thing. Yeah, I'm intrigued by what will happen. I have no fucking idea.
Do you think he will get like prosecuted? Do you think
like how? Because all he is doing is saying that he likes a stock, and that is what the guy from Citron Research does. He posts blogs about why he's shorting things and blah, blah, blah. And
people post their opinion on
like
financial securities all the time.
Yeah.
And as long as you have
thesis.
like the appropriate disclosures, it should be fine.
Yeah.
And he's a tricky one. Like I'm going to like look at this. Obviously, I'm very biased based on like the rant I had before, but I do think that he started off very innocent. Like he legitimately thought GameStop was a decent opportunity. It was overshorted or oversold, and he invested based on that thesis. What is the reason that he's buying $160 million worth now, while it's obviously not, it's overbought and it's big, is probably to profit and get his minions to,
apparently
pump
it's still
the stock.
overshorted. They doubled down apparently the hedge fund. So that's an interesting one. I think he's come back and he's fucking hitting them again.
Okay, so maybe if there's like, I don't know too much about the reason why he's back and why he's doing this now. But on the surface, it does seem like even though he's given disclosures that he's literally showing you exactly how many shares he holds at what price and what the option deal terms are, blah, blah, blah. He's showing you all of that, yet I do think that it's obvious that he has a very impressionable audience and that anything he really does and says towards the stock, he's going to influence people to use all their money to try and be like him. And yeah, there potentially should be some maybe consequences based on if they had if this went into like some discovery phase and they found like texts or emails where there was like some ill intent where he was just like, yeah, I'm just going to pump and dump on my army.
Yeah.
There should be consequences for that. But if it is the same not innocent, but like the same like passionate, like, no, I bought like, yeah, GameStop's overvalued and it's overbought, but I have $160 million. It's my money. I wanted to, shine light on this movement about like, fuck the establishment, fuck these motherfuckers. Yeah, I don't have any other ulterior motive to that. Then yeah, more power to him. Nothing's illegal. I'm sure he's got a lot of lawyers. He's probably hired a bunch of lawyers to look over everything he's doing.
He's a billionaire now.
Well, we'll see how tomorrow plays out. His live streams, and he's doing a live stream for the first time since 2020.
Yes,
and I think he's going to live stream while the stock is trading. So this could be the first ever live stream where you watch someone become a billionaire.
Is his face on camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it will be. Yeah, I think we don't know what it's going to be like.
He was like a full content creator for like 5 years.
Okay. He made YouTube videos about stocks and
Right.
stuff. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. We did something a little bit different this week, just talking about one topic, but I thought it was interesting enough.
It's very relevant.
Did you learn about some stuff?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You thought it was good?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
See ya, fuckers.